What is going on, guys? Joey Franzo here at Flex Training Systems, and today I am finally getting around to some of the questions that you guys dropped for the Q&A, the year-end Q&A. I'm not even going to call it that because it's late. I have been going through some shit. I'm good. Everything business-wise is great, fantastic. Business is booming, but just behind the scenes, some personal stuff. So I've been kind of behind. But I'm getting to these now. So what I'm going to do, this Q&A is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go through the questions. I just picked 15 of them. There might be a part 2 if I can't think of anything for next week. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop every question down below with the timestamp in the description, so you guys could just fast forward to whatever you want. I kept this video a little bit more serious. Everything is informational. Maybe something interesting, maybe something you didn't know. I got a lot of questions that were like, what's your favorite anime? Like, fun stuff like that. Because I didn't have the time to put together a video like last year where I had like music in the background, some sort of gameplay going on, and me just in the corner. I just thought this would be a little bit more efficient. But yeah, that being said, let's get right into the video. So, first question. What is the hardest part of coaching Russ? To be honest, Russ is coming to me from playing sports at a high level, or just having, he was just raised right and he has a lot of discipline. And he has the internal burning desire to get better. That is why I believe his motto is get better today, as you guys know. Hashtag get better today in the comments below. And, he's not hard. He's really not that hard to coach. I would the things that would be difficult about coaching Russ don't directly come from Russ. And it's not anything that I don't know how to handle. Just like, obviously you guys, a lot of people are watching him, so anything he does, trickles down. But I mean, for the most part, he's actually very, very, it's smooth sailing with him. He knows what to do. We're on the same page. We communicate when we need to communicate. And, I will say there was a real change after about, I want to say like 18 months. He really started to get it, and he really started to understand like what I'm looking for from him. In the gym, what to focus on recovery. You can't be doing things outside the gym that we know is going to screw you up if you have squats. So stuff like that. So yeah, it's not difficult coaching Russ. The hardest part is, I don't know. I guess you could say the pressure of like anything that we do, but I like that. I feed off that. That like thrives me, makes me thrive and gives me reason to like live. Like I love pressure. I'm actually like a junkie for competition and stress and things like that. So I like gravitate towards it. But there's a very small part of me that just, I guess, likes to chill sometimes. I don't know. But yeah, there's nothing really too hard about coaching him. Very, very interesting that you would ask. It's just kind of like, I didn't grow up with him, but we have a lot of similar, just like, we like a lot of similar things, and he's got that football mentality, and that's what I need. All right, next question. Would you keep the weight or RPE of singles in the off season the same or undulating? Would you keep the weight of RPE or singles in the off season the same or undulating? So the RPE definitely goes up and down. I won't go lower than like a 5 or a 6, and I won't go higher than like a 9. A 5 is very rare, and a 6 is very rare. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of an interesting question because RPE is sort of a general area. It's not perfect, and your body's not perfect, and you don't need to be perfect to be. Your RPE doesn't need to be perfect to be more effective than doing, say, percentage or picking a set number. There is no method to my knowledge that we can simply you put your hand in a machine and then it does some calculations and says these are the perfect weights, these are the perfect sets. There's no such thing, and RPE is the closest thing that I know in order to get as close to what we should be doing in the day. It comes with a lot of coaching, a lot of experience. But if you do it right, I mean, obviously you guys see the W's. Now I'm saying, cause you see what's going on out here. Yeah, if you do what you got to do, then you're gonna handle business, and I think people start to believe in it a lot more when they see the results. That's why I don't like to talk too much about why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just do it. Why not just show you a win? Why do I need to explain? You know what I mean? That'll just get people on board than trying to convince people or get them to jump ship or whatever. All right. Next question: how much leniency can a genetically elite lifter get away with in training? The answer to that question. Okay, so I'm assuming you're talking about winning, right? I would say right now in the current state of powerlifting, depending on your weight class, if you are truly genetically elite, you could probably get away with a good amount of leniency. In other weight classes, there are going to be people that want it more than you, but they have no business winning if you handle business and work as hard as they are currently working. So it really depends on the environment. I believe over time there will be no leniency. If you have the genetics and you don't work hard, you will lose to another person that has genetics and works hard. That is the nature of all sports. It's just a matter of time. I think powerlifting is still kind of like in those growing infancy stages. It's definitely come up over the years. For example, I think in 2014, the winning 83 kg total was 1515, so 1,515 pounds. Yeah, that's not even going to get you close to top 10 now. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it really depends. It's a very dependent on the environment type thing, but at the end of the day, the person working the hardest with the best genetics will beat the person that has. I mean, genetics can be very vast, right? So you never know. It's almost an impossible question to answer. All right, next question. How do you progress light days to avoid going too heavy? Okay, so I think what you mean is like how do you work a light training day to avoid lifting more than you should? For me personally, like we just went through in the last video, right? We talked about priorities and training days. So my first bench day of the week is a high priority bench day. I'm going to give a little bit more that day. Usually after that day, I'm going to feel it a little bit. Because I use RPE, I'm going to come into that second day and I'm already going to be inhibited because I'm beat. And if I'm always, following what I tell you guys is always like take what you have. I'm not going to be able to send it on that day anyway. I think you can't really go wrong if you keep your you keep your RPEs relatively low on your low priority days, your recovery days. There are special cases where RP is not going to be good enough and I'm going to have to go in and give someone a specific weight. For example, in the conventional deadlift, let's say I give them an RPE 6 and it's like, let's say they're using like 315, but it's too much for their back, but their legs can tolerate it, then I need to go in and give them an actual weight so they don't overdo that. So it just comes with experience, comes with time, sticking to what you have, and then just being aware that like, hey, if you're training with high frequency, which is pretty much the only time this really becomes relevant, you're going to be back in the gym in 48 hours. So save it, leave it for the next day. You know what I mean? You don't gain anything from pushing it on that middle day when you have another day coming up. All right, next question. How do I know when I'm overthinking a lift or concept? Well, if you have to ask that question in regards to what you're saying, you probably are. When it comes to, it really depends on the situation in terms of concepts. When it comes to overthinking a lift, okay, I could just tell you this. If you're progressing on your lift, let's say you're overthinking your form. Progressing on your lift, you don't have any injuries, your bar path is good, and you're getting stronger your week to week, there's no need to change the flats. You know what I mean? There's no need to change the heels. There's no need to change your grip. Over time, if you feel like you could be doing better, you could eventually hire a coach, and they can really help you with that. But if it isn't broke, don't fix it. And you want to make small changes over time. If you're overthinking leads to inconsistency and the body doesn't work like that, you got to be consistent. You got to be doing the same thing in order to get better at that thing. If you want to adapt at something, you got to tell your body to adapt at that thing. So, You don't want to be changing things and moving all over the place. It's a hard question to answer if I don't have like specific situation or scenario. But yeah, I hope that helps. Next question is a great question. What's the common denominator amongst world-class lifters? I would say that they're willing to make their training a priority in their life. Obviously, there has to be some sort of a genetic component, but they care about training. They go out of their way to like plan recovery, so they know how much sleep they're gonna get. They make sure they're having their meals. They eat enough protein. They don't put themselves in situations that are going to be stressful if they can avoid it. Or they just make sacrifices in order to put training on the forefront. They also want it really bad, like to the point of being psycho and just like not balanced. I don't think being the best at anything particularly comes with balance, although in certain cases it can be healthy. You need to, like, balance is such a weird term because if you want to be the best at something, you may need to become unbalanced in order to achieve that. So they're just willing to do what it takes. They're just willing to have they don't panic under adversity. I'll tell you this about Russ, John Hack. I'm trying to think who really has this. Just like I'm trying to think of lifters that I coach that when something goes wrong, they don't panic. They just focus on like what's the next thing. Like, okay, what am I doing next? We see this a lot in NFL. NFL football players, they just have like this sort of stoic kind of mentality towards like any adversity. Like, all right, this bad thing happened, I'm gonna handle it and I'm gonna move on. If you have a bad day in quotations, which there are really no bad days, there really aren't bad days. Everything is useful, and the bad days are actually somewhat necessary in order to move on. Most people don't even know what a bad day is, so you're just getting mad for nothing. Like, you're freaking out for nothing. You know what I mean? Overthinking it again. But yeah, they have a mindset. They're willing to do what it takes. They put training on the forefront. That's what world-class lifters have. They're also crazy about it, and they're willing to give up what they need to give up in order to get where they want to go. Next question I get a lot. Where did you learn to program? My pro training is a combination of all my experiences in the gym and reading online, and spending 2 years just like going into a shell and just training for myself and being antisocial and just absorbing everything I can on the internet. This is when I was much younger. It was like my Monday through Saturday was literally just training and getting better at training. When I was very young, I was very lean. I wasn't even in powerlifting, but a lot of the concepts I learned that I apply into my training didn't even come from powerlifting. I didn't even know what powerlifting was. It came from, just all my experiences. I kind of learned what worked and what didn't, and I, started to just absorb information on the internet. They kind of pushed me in the right direction. And yeah. And now I have what you guys see in front of you. Right? But yeah, that's pretty much how I learned. It's very difficult to point you in one direction and say, hey, read this book and you'll be the best trainer ever. It does not work like that. Being a good coach is not just X's and O's. It's all this other shit that comes with it. So, next question. Can you be elite if you started in your mid-20s with no athletic background? Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say being elite is like top 10%. Absolutely. I started when I was 23 in powerlifting. I did have an athletic background though. My question and my concern would be, if you started in your mid-20s, you probably didn't have a genetic predisposition to being good at exercise. So when you tried it for the first time, you probably hated it, and you did it for a little while. Maybe you did it in school or whatever, because we're supposed to do that in PE and whatnot. And then you kind of see how good you are at something. And then if you're good at it, you're better than the other kids. There's a lot of positives that come with that. You're going to stay more involved and you're going to do it more. So if you made it this far and you haven't done anything, it's probably because you just don't, it just maybe you'd be average even if you had started earlier. That is just I'm just throwing that, I don't know that for sure. Everybody's different. Some people, they start something super late and then they fucking excel at it. Tim Duncan. You guys know the basketball player Tim Duncan, played for the Spurs. I believe he was an Olympic swimmer. I don't know if he's even an Olympic swimmer. He was a college swimmer, and then he was just super tall, and someone told him to play basketball, and he was like insanely good at it, and then boom, NBA. So yeah, you never know if you don't try, and I encourage you to compete, try what you want to do something different that you suck at, and learn. I've been doing that recently, and I've seen a lot of positives from it. So yeah. Next question: do you ever put deadlifts at the beginning of a split? Yeah, if they're doing a deadlift only meet, because then deadlift is the priority. I still like squats as a safe way to boost the deadlift and build the muscles associated with the deadlift. But if I have a lifter doing full power, I have done it in the past if I really wanted to have a block where we focused on deadlifts and just kind of chilled on squats. Again, you guys always hear me talk about, like, we have a certain amount of recovery, and sometimes you're just not going to be able to get as much deadlifting as you need to get in. I typically will only do this in an off season. But yes, I have done it before, and it's nice to maintain the squat and boost the deadlift if I feel like that's where our time is better spent. Next question: how do you respond to a lifter that asks about the potential? Very interesting question. I always tell people I don't know for sure how much you're gonna grow in X amount of time, but I do know that if you do your best and you take care of business, you can be better than you are now. And chances are, you'll be doing more than what other people are willing to do, so you're going to end up in that top, 50, 60, 70% of lifters, even if you have the worst genetics, because most people aren't going to be doing what they need to do to move on and get better. But there's no way, to my knowledge, to tell if someone can be the best right out the gate. I mean, I have some guys where I kind of look at them and I think, all right, yeah, definitely this guy with some time and some years, he's gonna be top 5, top 3. But everybody else, like, it's very hard to tell. And sometimes I don't know, they just come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? They just work hard and they rise to the top. Next question: can you lose fat and gain muscle at the same time? Yes and no. If you're a new lifter, new to training in general, you're gonna kind of put on muscle, and it's unavoidable for till your noob gains kind of expire. But I do remember there was a study where there was some Olympic gymnasts that ate their calories primarily around their training, and they were able to gain small amounts of muscle from the training and then lose muscle. They're in a deficit the rest of the day. But I think overall, I mean, I don't know if that, I mean, I just remember this years back, someone talking about it. You can recomp a little bit. If anything, if you're pretty experienced, you're just maintaining muscle and losing some fat. You will lose some muscle after X amount of time. But it's a very slow process, and I would just like have dedicated periods to gaining and losing. You're probably going to maintain most of your muscle, and then you'll be able to gain a little bit more. Like, if I didn't go from 255 down to 228 and then back up to 255, I would never be at the position I'm at. I might do it again. Sorry, that was my dog, if you guys heard that. She is very skittish. But yeah, I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't go through that diet and bulk phase. I think it's very important. But yeah. Next question: is the Arnold going to be my last meet? Oh boy. There's a couple pending factors. I don't know if I'm going to compete at nationals because I feel that I'm going to have more obligations this year on the later end of the week, like Sunday. In which case, there's no point in me lifting, and man, it was extremely hard on me this last one to lift. I'm just telling you guys right now. I don't know if it's because I'm lifting more weight, but I was very involved in like every session, and it really wrecked me. So I think I might just do a fun meet in the middle of the year and not compete at nationals. But I did want to go through a diet again, so I might just take a year off and diet. I don't think it'll be my last meet ever. You never know. Things change. My priorities change. I know that my influence and where I can be, most influential and useful to people is as a coach, and I could do the most good as a coach. I will always lift. I just don't know if I wish to compete. Given if I lose 30 pounds, maybe I'm really happy and I don't want to bulk back up and I don't really give a shit about competing. I don't know. But quality of life is becoming, more of a priority, and I'm just not willing to compromise for my happiness. I mean, I really need to do that. You know what I mean? But yeah, we'll see. I don't think this will be my last one ever. My last Arnold. I mean, I definitely don't have the desire to want to do another. Like, I've done. This would be my fifth Arnold coming up. You know what I mean? It's like I don't need to do another one. I have other priorities that I want to talk about that in regards to lifting and my lifters, like just putting them in the best possible position to win, because I think the incentive to be a good coach is going to be greater than ever moving forward. And I want to be there. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. All right, almost done. If you had the opportunity to coach any lifter you wanted that you are currently not coaching, who would it be? I want to coach any lifter that believes in my message, believes in what I'm doing. They follow my content. They know who I am. They like me as a person, and they're open to learning and wanting to get better. Some people don't like me. I have some reasons why they wouldn't. I mean, I'm a nice guy. If you guys come up to me in person, I'm a really nice guy. I'll shake your hand, I'll sign your belt, I'll do whatever. Some people just don't like this is gonna sound cocky as hell, and some people are probably just gonna click off as soon as I say this. But I think, like, why do people hate, like, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, right? Like, for what? For, like, why the hell would you hate them, right? Why do people hate? It's like when I think, like, why do people hate me and Russ, right? Why do people hate? Why would anyone fuck with Keiko? You know what I mean? Like, we literally don't bother anyone. We're just doing our thing. You don't have to follow someone. Maybe they don't want to be associated because we're very prevalent, and maybe they meet me and, like, one of my lifters beat them, and now they have a nasty taste when they think about me, so they don't like me, and that's why they don't want to work with me. There are some top lifters that I feel like that's the case, like, oh, that's the opposition, fuck them. But any lifter that is down with the squad, you know what I mean, that wants to get better, I'd be down to coach them. If they have the potential to be a top lifter, that's a bonus, but that's not. I don't base everything on that. And there's definitely been top lifters that I've coached that were just fucking hell to deal with, and it just, like, wasn't worth it. And so that is absolutely not everything. Yeah, it's really just if we click and you want to get better and you listen, then I want to coach that person. There's no one in particular. All right, getting towards the end here. Does part of you ever wish you could stop coaching and focus on your own lifting? Maybe in another lifetime, but I feel that I've done good just being a coach. It would be nice to do a nationals, but I asked myself this question and I said, sorry about that, I had to yawn. If I didn't, okay, if I could win nationals, could I see myself not coaching at nationals in order to try to win myself? The answer was no. The answer was absolutely not. So, I guess that answers your question. No, I don't wanna stop coaching the lift ever. All right, last question. Perks of the job that people don't realize. So, as I started the video, I guess I'll end it with this as well. Like I said, I've been dealing with the situation. I've been going through some shit on my end, like personal stuff. Me and Tina are good, so it's nothing to do with that. Just like family, health problems, things that are, like, they're pretty unavoidable. There's nothing I can do about it, and everybody has parents, and when anything is wrong with them, it can kind of mess with you. And if I didn't have the flexibility in my job that I have, I wouldn't be able to help. I wouldn't be able to handle it. I don't even know what the fuck would have happened with the situation if I didn't have the ability to just either maybe I want to program for the first 5 hours of the day, or maybe I want to do it to a couple hours before going to bed. If I have to, I can always lose sleep and program if I need to, if my day's fucked up. You know what I mean? So, I try to do my best. I don't think my lifters even noticed that I missed a beat. I was, on top of everything. Just prioritize what you got to prioritize and handle business. So the flexibility in being able to move things around and just seeing how it inhabits other people that are close to me, or inhibits other people that are close to me, that is a huge, 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 huge perk. Just being able to be there for people when they need you there. I mean, that's like priceless in my opinion. So, yeah, that is definitely a huge fucking perk to what I do. Aside from that, just helping the team, seeing people grow as lifters and as people is incredibly rewarding for me. It means a lot to see that happen. Seeing people use their hashtags and just like team spirit and all that. It's just like, what more do you want in life? You know what I mean? So, yeah, guys. Hope you're able to take something away from that one. Let's go ahead and get better today in the comments below. Shout out to Russ, since that's what we started the video off with. Shit, fellas. Speaking of Russ, he's opening a gym. Go comment on his post. Fuck. Yeah, I enjoyed this Q&A. I have more questions, but it would be an hour long. I'm going to shut it down here. Hope everyone's doing well. Shit, fellas, 2020 just started. Let's get it done. Handle business. Don't overthink. Go to sleep. Eat your food. Drop a like, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace, peace, peace.